What's good with y'all boys, man? Today is day 143 of reading 30 minutes every single day till I reach day 1,000 and beyond. I am at the top of page 462 of, you guessed it, Carrying the Fire by Michael Collins. The next book, I'm almost done with this book. The next book is Two Towers. So yeah, I got 30 minutes on this motherfucking clock. Let's get this shit started. Like, sub, hit the notice button. Follow me today, 1,000. I got the book. I got the bear. I got the other bear. I got 30 minutes too. Starting now. Let's go. Which brings us to Mike Collins. Fortunately, I have been a poor student all my life, and my parents, concealing their disappointment, seldom pushed me. Consequently, the pressures in my various jobs have been mostly self-induced. This fact, plus the native laziness, has saved me from experiencing the full flavor of Buzz syndrome. Although I share with him a mild melancholy about future possibilities, for it seemed to me that the list of exciting things to do here on Earth has diminished greatly in the wake of the lunar landings. I just can't get excited about things the way I could before Apollo 11. I seem gripped by an earthly ennui which I don't relish, but which I seem powerless to prevent. I am more impervious to minor problems now, when two of my people come to me red-faced and huffing over some petty dispute. I feel like telling them, well, the Earth continues to turn on its axis undisturbed by your problem. Take your cue from it, and work it out by yourselves. It really doesn't amount to much anyway. Of course, I don't say that, because it obviously means a great deal to them. But not so many things seem quite as vital to me anymore. My threshold of measuring what is important has been raised. It takes a lot more to make me nervous or to make me blow my cool. There are fewer good jobs around. Part of this stems from having received a number of terrestrial honors, and part from having been privileged to see Earth from a great distance. The three of us would have been entertained by kings and queens. The three of us have been entertained by kings and queens. We have received the Coriolis Trophy, the Harmon Trophy, and the Hubbard Medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, etc., etc. We have addressed a joint session of Congress and 100 lesser audiences. Through it all, the Earth continues to turn on its axis. I can see it doing so, and I am less impressed by my own disturbance in that serene motion, or by that of my fellow man. That doesn't mean I have acquired a complete guru-like detachment, far from it. I still get irritated, and I still express irrational annoyance. For example, if one more fat cigar smoker blows smoke in my face and yells at me, "What was it really like up there?" I think I may bury my fist in his flabby gut. I have had it, with the same question over and over again. It is the curse of flying in space. The business of answering the same question 1,000,000 times. This business of answering the same question 1,000,000 times. There should be I read that twice. There should be a statute of limitations on it. A close second is autographing things, especially to Cousin Esmeralda and Baby Jane and all the boys at the fire station, and to put down the date, and sign your name so we can read it. Jesus, lady, I don't do that well by my banker. Kids collecting autographs I can understand, and I don't think I ever barked at one of them, but pushy adults are something else. A perceptive PR man told me one time, shortly after Apollo 11, that there was a special place in hell reserved for autograph seekers. I don't know what he meant then, but I do now. On the other hand, I would have to admit that notoriety is not an unmixed catastrophe. While I want desperately to be able to take my kids to the zoo unnoticed, I don't mind one bit crawling on board the jetliner, clutching my tourist ticket, and having the little honey recognize me and whisk me up into first class. There to feed and nurture me, and protect me from the nasty autograph seekers. I don't mind that breach of anonymity one little bit. Nor am I above telling the police officer when I am stopped for speeding, "Gosh, officer, I guess I just haven't learned to slow down since I got back from the moon." So I suppose I am a phony who wants it both ways. It's not unlike the starlet who wants to be remembered for her acting ability, rather than her great body, except that in my case, It's not a question of for what, but by whom. Howard Musin in the New York Times Magazine describes the returning astronaut as the wandering hero back among his tribe. After stealing the sacred fire and grappling with terrifying demons, condemned to ask tough questions, it is an apt description, although I never felt I stole anybody's fire. I merely carried it through the sky. And the demons with whom I have grappled have generally been dressed by lord and tailors. But tough questions, that is right on target. The toughest, of course, is, was it worth it all? It certainly was to me personally, which obviously makes me suspect is an objective witness to the expenditure of $25 billion of taxpayers' money. Besides, I frankly gave little thought to the financial end of the space program, just as I have never considered what percentage of the GNP Flash Gordon might reasonably twit away exploring the caverns of Mongo. Furthermore, I think it is premature to make a judgment on the manned space program and its possible value to mankind. We simply don't know yet what it may mean to us. Fred Hoyle, a British astronomer, suggested as early as 1948 that the first picture of the whole Earth would unleash a flood of new ideas. Supporters of the space program say that the current interest in ecology is one such byproduct. Opponents say baloney, and besides, you don't have to fly men in space to obtain such photographs. Supporters say that the moon rocks will ultimately allow scientists to determine the origin of the solar system, and that this is a fundamental bit of knowledge. Opponents say the moon, a sterile and lifeless rock pile, cannot possibly be much of an interest. Opponents say that it is immoral to support exploration while our cities rot. Supporters say it cannot be examined on an either-or basis, that our national economic and budgetary process prevents the simple transfer of funds from one project to another. That without a space program, our cities would still rot. Opponents say we must focus our priorities on our planet and its ills. Supporters say the solution to these problems depends on studying the Earth from orbit. That kind of technology got us into this mess, say the detractors. Only advanced technology can get us out of it, say the space buffs. As the argument ebbs and flows, I think a couple of points are worth making. First, Apollo 11 was perceived by most Americans as being an end rather than a beginning, and I think that is a dreadful mistake. Frequently, NASA's PR team is blamed for this, but I don't think NASA will have prevented it. I'm gonna be so for real. I already read this part. I'm just like looking at it, and I'm like remembering all of it. I already read it till I'm reading in my head. Hold on. I'm still reading. I'm just trying to make sure. Oh, here we go. I really believe that if the political leaders of the world could see their planet from a distance of, let's say, he's already about to say some real shit, 100,000 miles, their outlook could be fundamentally changed. That all-important border would be invisible, that noisy argument suddenly silenced. The tiny globe would continue to turn, serenely ignoring its subdivisions, presenting a unified facade that would cry out for unified understanding. Sorry. For a homogeneous treatment. The Earth must become as it appears. Blue and white. Not capitalist or communist. Blue and white. Not rich or poor. Blue and white. Not envious or envied. I am not a naive man. I don't believe that a glance from 100,000 miles would cause a prime minister to scurry back to his parliament with a disarmament plan, but I do think it would plant a seed that ultimately could grow into such a concrete action. Just because borders are invisible from space doesn't mean that they are not real. They are, and I like them. I feel just as thankful today that I live in the United States of America as I did before flying in space, and I have no desire for this country to merge into a United States of the world. What I'm saying, however, is that all countries must begin thinking of solutions to their problems which benefit the entire globe, not simply their own national interests. The smoke from the Sar Valley may pollute half a dozen other countries, depending on the direction of the wind. We all know that, but it must be seen to make an indelible impression, to produce an emotional impact that makes one argue for long-term virtues at the expense of short-term gains. I think the view from 100,000 miles could be invaluable in getting people together to work out joint solutions, by causing them to realize that the planet we share unites us in a way far more basic and far more important than differences in skin color or religion, or economic system. He is speaking facts right now. The pity of it is that so far the view from 100,000 miles has been the exclusive property of a handful of test pilots, rather than the world leaders who need this new perspective, or the poets who might communicate it to them. Of course, we could always pass out whole Earth autographs and have everyone study them, and if there's any truth in my 100,000 mile premise, the result should be the same. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Seeing the Earth on an 8 by 10 inch piece of paper, or ringed by the plastic border of a television screen, is not only not the same as the real view, but even worse, it is a pseudo-sight that denies the reality of the matter. Oh, I've seen everything those astronauts have seen. To actually be 100,000 miles out, to look out 4 windows and find nothing but black infinity, to finally locate the blue and white golf ball in the 5th window, to know how fortunate we are to be able to return to it. God. All these things are required, in addition to merely gauging its size and color, while the proliferation of photos constantly reminds us of the Earth's dimensions. The photos deceive us as well, for they transfer the emphasis from one Earth to the multiplicity of reproduced images. There is but one Earth, tiny and fragile, and one must get 100,000 miles away from it to appreciate fully one's good fortune in living on it. If I could use only one word to describe the Earth as seen from the moon, I would ignore both its size and color and search for a more elemental quality, that of fragility. The Earth... This is going to make me cry because this is just... It's crazy that I'm reading... I'm reading the words that were written by an astronaut. Like the exact words. The exact description of what he saw. And he landed... No, he didn't land on the moon, but he went to the moon. It's just the same. The Earth appears fragile above all else. I don't know why, but it does. As we walk its surface, it seems solid and substantial enough, almost infinite as it extends flatly in all directions. But from space there is no hint of ruggedness to it. Smooth as a billiard ball, it seems delicately poised in its circular journey around the sun, and above all it seems fragile. Once this concept of apparent earthly fragility is introduced, one questions whether it is real or imagined, and that leads inexorably to an examination of its surface. There we find things are very fragile indeed. Is the sea water clean enough to pour over your head, or is there a glaze of oil on its surface? Is the sky blue and the cloud white, or are both obscured by yellow-brown airborne filth? Is the riverbank a delight or an obscenity? The difference between a blue and white planet and a black and brown one is delicate indeed. We rush about like busy ants, bringing immense quantities of subsurface solids, liquids, and gases up from their hiding places, and converting them into quickly discarded solids, liquids, and waste gases which lie on or just above the surface, is unholy evidence of our collective insanity. The entropy of the planet, its unavailable energy, is increasing at an alarming rate. The burning of fossil fuels is an irreversible process and can only be slowed down. At the same time, the sun shines on us whether we like it or not. Yet we are making but feeble efforts to focus this energy for our use. For that matter, the sun's energy, which is produced by converting hydrogen into helium, can probably be duplicated by creating our own little thermonuclear reactors here on Earth. if we put every effort into the attempt. These problems and their solutions are becoming increasingly well known, and I'm sure would have been recognized had there been no space program. Anyone who had viewed our planet from afar can only cry out in pain at knowledge that the pristine blue and whiteness he can still close his eyes and see is an illusion masking an ever more senseless ugliness below. The beauty of the planet from 100,000 miles should be a goal for all of us, to help in our struggle to make it as it appears to be. Seeing the Earth from a distance has changed my perception on the solar system as well. Ever since Copernicus' theory that the Earth was a satellite of the Sun instead of vice versa gained wide acceptance, men have considered it an infutable truth. Yet I submit that we still cling emotionally to the pre-Copernican or Ptolemaic notion that the Earth is the center of everything. The sun comes up at dawn and goes down at dusk, right? Or the radio commercial describes sunset when the sun just goes away from the sky. Baloney. The sun doesn't rise or fall, it doesn't move, it just sits there, and we rotate in front of it. Dawn means that we are rotating around into sight of it, while dusk means we have turned another 180 degrees and are being carried into the shadow zone. The sun never goes away from the sky, it's still there sharing the same sky with us. It's simply that there is a chunk of Abiquiu Earth between us and the sun, which prevents our seeing it. Everyone knows that, but I really see it now. No longer do I drive down a highway and wish the blinding sun would set. Instead, I wish we could speed up our rotation a bit and swing around into the shadows more quickly. I do not have to force myself to call this imagined image to mind. It is there, and occasionally I use it for other things, although admittedly I have to stretch a bit. What a pretty day. Makes me think that this isn't always a pretty day somewhere. If not here, then we just happen to be standing on the wrong place. In the wrong place. My watch is fast. Translates into no, it's not. It's just that you should be standing farther to the east. I'm gonna drink some of this. This thing, y'all, these are radioactive, bro. No joke. These motherfuckers have to be radioactive, bro. Let me get this in frame. Hold on. No, we don't want that in the YouTube video. I'm not completely cured, though. I still say in this world instead of on it. And I still think of the North Pole as being up and South Pole as down, which is absurd. Give 100 people a picture of Earth, identify the North Pole for them, and 100 will hold the photo with the North Pole toward their head and South Pole toward their feet. Of course, what they are really doing if they are standing up is pointing the South Pole at the center of the Earth, and if they're standing at the equator, pointing the North Pole at the same spot in the sky, which is that Earth turns, traces a circle intersecting the plane of the ecliptic at 23.5 degrees. Now, why people persist in this foolishness, I don't know. In my living room, I have a small framed photograph showing a thin crescent against a black background. Even though the colors are wrong, people always say, "Oh, the moon!" But it is the Earth. The Earth isn't ever supposed to be a crescent, I suppose. Wow. The Earth can be a crescent. And we saw those photos with Artemis too, bro. The crescent photos of the Earth. Wow. Like what? Finally, flying in space has changed my perception of myself. Outwardly, I seem to be the same person, and my habits are about the same. Oh, I seem to be spending money a bit more freely now, and I am inclined to put more energy into my family and less into my job, but basically I am the same guy. My wife confirms the fact. I didn't find God on the moon, nor has my life changed dramatically in any other basic way. But although I may feel I am the same person, I also feel that I am different from other people. I have been places and done things you simply would not believe. I feel like saying I have dangled from a cord 100 miles up. I have seen the Earth eclipsed by the moon and enjoyed it. I have someone deadass, like, outlined all this. I'm about to finish the book, y'all. Okay, hold on. I'm about to finish the book. I have seen the earth eclipsed by the moon and enjoyed it. I have seen the sun's true light, unfiltered by any planet's atmosphere. I have seen the ultimate black of infinity in a stillness undisturbed by any living thing. I have been pierced by cosmic rays on their endless journey from God's place to the limits of the universe. Perhaps there, to the circle back on themselves and on my descendants. If Einstein's special theory is true, my travels have made me younger by a fraction of a second than I have stayed always on Earth's surface. The molecules in my body are different, and will remain so until the 7-year biological cycle causes them to be replaced, one by one. Although I have no intention of spending the rest of my life looking backward, I do have this secret, this precious thing, that I will always carry with me. I have not been able to do these things because of any great talent I possess. Rather, it has all been the roll of the dice, the same dice that caused the growth of cancer cells, or an aircraft ejection seat to work or not. In my life so far, I have been very, very lucky. Even the bad things, like the surgeon's knife, have turned out to be fortunate consequences. These events confirm my native optimism, although I have not seen too many promising young lives snuffed out not to know that it can happen to me. Any death seems premature, but I really believe my own will seems less premature, because of what I have been able to do. At what I hope is the midway point of my life, I am 43. My eyes have already been privileged to see more than most men see in all their years. It is perhaps a pity that my eyes have seen more than my brain has been able to assimilate or evaluate. But like the Druids at Stonehenge, I have attempted to bring order out of what I have observed, even if I have not understood it fully. Unfortunately, my feelings cannot be conveyed by the clever arrangement of stone pillars. I am condemned to the use of words, I know, because after the fight of Gemini 10, I tried to use paint, and it was a total flop. My oceans filled the canvas with a muddy monotony. My clouds were anemic instead of ethereal. My spacecraft were lumpy and mishappen. The feeling was all wrong. After that, I didn't even attempt to paint, but I did try to convey, in words, the magic of carrying the fire, just as the god Apollo carried the sun across the sky in his chariot. For magic is assured there. Changing urine particles into angels is magic. Tumbling end over end with velvet smoothness is magic. Even some of the things which happen on the ground during a flight are magic, such as watching Apollo 8 carrying men away from Earth for the first time in history. An event in many ways more awe-inspiring than landing on the moon. For me, at that moment, Apollo 8 was an electronic beam in mission control. Sure, that was magic, but how to express it? The moving line skims, sure and swift, green as a snake across the wall. A linear lie of circular progress, it tells us nothing, except that a man must keep his sensors saturated. Or wondering about the moon before the flight of Apollo 11, the geologists did their best to take the magic out of it, but would the moon really be proof of the law of least astonishment? Rocks without fossil, wells without water. Will there be no surprises when I am unpinned by gravity? Once in flight, how to convey the awesome feeling of looking out 4 windows and finding nothing? Should I try the 5th window? The cosmos is a social club, the zenith a radio set. Cosmology is an unfamiliar word, but Lord, at my window is real. Alexa, is Michael Collins still alive?
Michael Collins, the Apollo 11 astronaut, died on April 28, 2021 at age 90.
Alexa, stop. Wow. I could even write an ode to the moon's far side, if I thought it would help explain things. Cold stones jumbled in a heap. Lifeless plains, sharing only the sun, with a verdant recollection I must keep, till I see the next one. 1 penny, 1 penny, 1 misty waterfall, for me a choice to hear a voice, or slip on it by it all. I don't know what the magic the future may hold. I hope that in my lifetime man will visit Mars. Why is that so sad? For that would be magic. But it may not happen. In the meantime, there is magic aplenty for me here on Earth. I find it in... Sorry, I have to stop. Ooh, shit. I find it in such things as the Gosman Medal, awarded to Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins by the French Academy of Sciences in 1969. This medal had not been waiting to be awarded since 1889. It went to the first persons to find the means of communicating with a heavenly body, Mars included. The exception of Mars from this award was made by the founder, Mrs. Anne Emile Guzman, because that planet appears to be sufficiently well known. Now that is magic. But I don't want to end this book with poetry or magic. Tom Paine has called Apollo a triumph of squares, and I think he is right. Accordingly, I should like to end with the language of one square, Mike Collins, addressing a group of squares. The date was September 16th, 1969, and the place of a joint session of Congress in Washington, my hometown. For me, that date and these words marked the end of Apollo 11 and closed an extraordinary chapter in my life. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of Congress, and distinguished guests. This is his last. Okay. One of the many things I have very much enjoyed about working for the Space Agency and the Air Force is that they have always given me free rein, even to the extent of addressing this most august assemblage without coaching, without putting any words into my mouth. Therefore, my brief remarks are simply those of a free citizen, living in a free country and expressing free thoughts which are purely my own. Many years before there was a space program, my father had a favorite quotation. He who would bring back the wealth of the Indies must take the wealth of the Indies with him. This we have done. We have taken to the moon the wealth of this nation, the vision of its political leaders, the intelligence of its scientists, the dedication of its engineers, and the careful craftsmanship of its workers, and the enthusiastic support of its people. We have brought back rocks, and I think it's a fair trade, for just as the Rosetta Stone revealed the language of ancient Egypt, so may these rocks unlock the mystery of the origin of the moon, and indeed even of our Earth and solar system. During the flight of Apollo 11, in the constant sunlight between the Earth and the moon, it was necessary for us to control the temperature of our spacecraft for a slow rotation, not unlike that of a chicken on a barbecue spit. As we turned, the Earth and the moon alternately appeared in our windows. We had our choice. We could look toward the moon, toward Mars, toward our future in space, toward the new Indies, or we could look back toward the Earth, our home, with the problem spawned over then a millennium of human occupancy. We looked both ways. We saw both, and I think that is what our nation must do. We could ignore neither the wealth of the Indies nor the realities of the immediate needs of our cities, our citizens, our civics. We cannot launch our planetary probes from a springboard of poverty, discrimination, or unrest, but neither can we wait until each and every terrestrial problem has been solved. Such logic 200 years ago would have prevented expansion westward past the Appalachian Mountains. For assuredly the eastern seaboard was beset by problems of great urgency than it is today. Man has always gone where he has been able to go. It's that simple. He will continue pushing back his frontier no matter how far it may carry him from his homeland. Someday in the not-too-distant future, when I listen to an Earthling step out onto the surface of Mars, or on some other planet, as I heard Neil step out onto the surface of the moon, I hope I hear him say, I come from the United States of America. Wow. Wow. That was day 143 of reading 30 minutes every single day till I reach day 1,000 and beyond. That was Carrying the Fire by Michael Collins. I just finished the entire book. Wow. Carrying the Fire by Michael Collins. From learning about the early stages in his life and when he joined the Air Force and all those missions by himself, and he didn't mention he had any any actual friends. Well, he probably had friends, but he didn't really talk about them. I'm glad he talked a lot about Neil and Buzz though, but this whole book has been a whole journey. Definitely changed my perspective on space and the Apollo missions. Beautiful book. Michael Collins is an amazing astronaut, and I gotta recommend this book to all y'all. This book is amazing. It's his journey. Is the guy who didn't walk out on the moon. He stayed, and it's his whole journey. God, this book was amazing. Let's go. I just finished Carrying the Fire by Michael Collins. God, I might have to read this again in the future. I swear, this has been an amazing book. Wow. Touched my soul. Holy. Yeah. Day 144 will be, let's see, The Two Towers. J.R.R. Tolkien. Let's do it. This one's gonna be amazing. I'm so excited to read this one. It looks like this one's a little longer than Carrying the Fire. That one was 500 pages. This is 600. Pages are a little thinner, but yeah. Two Towers is the next book. So yeah. See y'all day 144 of reading 30 minutes every single day for the rest of my life. Let's go till I reach day 1,000. Like and sub. See y'all in the next one.